Okay, so code alone. Today, you finally will build to-do app. And so the requirements we want to be able to create a new to-do. We want to be able to complete to-do. We want to be able to delete to-do. And the latest to-do should come first. If you have enough time, we will move to this one, and we will be able to change the order so you can move your to-do up or down with buttons, with up and down buttons. So we need to create buttons for that. Sounds simple. What do you think?
Hope so.
Yeah? I feel like you already know how to build it. So, yeah, let's think about what kind of components do we want to have. Let's throw some ideas. What do you want? What kind of just components names? Let's think about component names. How do you want to call our components? The first component. What do we want to have? To have a to-do, what do you want to have?
I think maybe start with the table, something so where we have what to do or something, and whether this has been done or not, something like that.
So, can you repeat, please, the table?
Where we have a task and whether that's complete or not.
Okay, so we want to have basically to-do item component, right? Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next one. Somehow we want to add to-dos, right?
Yeah.
So that potentially that should be some probably input and the button like add.
Checkbox whether it's complete or not.
No, wait a sec. So we need to create a new
task, yeah.
Yeah, so we want to have like an input and this submit button. So, new, let's call it new to-do form. Okay, and theoretically, so we have one item, we have to-do form, potentially that will come first. Then this one, we will have this one, but we want to have a to-do container, to-do list, to-dos list, right? Because we want to wrap all of to-dos, and then inside to-dos list, we will have to-do item. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
For me, sounds reasonable. So yeah, let's create 3 components for that. So new to-do form, and we will create a file into the form.js. Actually, we want to have index.js. Remember, why do you want to have index.js?
So it can automatically pick that up.
Yeah, correct. Next, we want to have to-do list. So to-do list. There we want to have index.js. And then we want to have to-do item. To-do item. And we will have index.js. So that should be RFC, right? RFC. Oh, RAFC.
It's arrow function.
Yeah.
Is that what it stands for, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And this one should be, what is that? To-do item. To-do item. So we just want to, let's say, item for now. This one should be new to-do form. And this one, oh, so this is the index, we don't want to have this one. And to-do list. To-do list component. So that potentially should be a lie, right? UL, sorry, UL. UL, list. And here that should be a lie, right? Because this is list item. Oh, not this one. That should be form. List item, this one should be a lie. And this one new form, so that should be form. Let's just name it form. Yeah, so we have 3 components for now. So let's actually import them. So we have import. How do you call it? To do item from what? Components, to do item. Then we have to do list, right? And another one is new to do form. So it has 3 components. Let's put all of them into our HTML. So what should be the structure? We want to have a new to do form. I'm just thinking about layout. To do form. Beneath that, I want to have our to-do list, right? We actually don't need to have to-do item here because we will not render them. We have just form to add new one and the list to render them. Does it make sense? So let's go and see what we have. Yeah, so we have form and we have list. Looks about right. Form, list. List, yeah. Let's actually quickly style it. I just want to, so we have our app. Let's rename this to app. And create, in the source, we want to have our index, CSS, index, CSS. So if we open our index, I'm just uncomment my index. Yeah, so dot app. So width, 2%. Yeah, maybe no. Width, let's say 600 pixels. Margin, I don't know, 0. That's all. I think this is it. So for UL, I want to reset my padding. So padding 0, margin 0. And what do we want to do? And we want to have, so we remove padding, margin, and list style. List style, none. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, the only thing that I want to say that I want to set some box shadow, which should be probably 0, 2 pixels, 4 pixels, and RGB 0.3, potentially 0, maybe, I don't know, 3 pixels, 10 pixels, 20 pixels, and RGB 0.1. And for the whole application, for the body, I want to set, so height, min height, 100 VH, right? Display flex, and justify content center, and align items center. Yeah, beautiful. Look at this beautiful form. Okay, So let's finally write some actual React. So you have form and lists. Let's start with form. So I want to go to my form, so close this one, and this is our form. Beautiful. So in my form, I want to have just two things, basically. I want to have input with placeholder at you to do, and that should be required, right? Required. And I want to have a button to submit. And type submit. Pretty simple form. Let's see. Yeah. Beautiful. So when we click, it requires something. When I click add, it will refresh the page, which is a problem, and we will fix it. So tell me please, how do you want to handle the form? How do you want to handle form? Anyone?
You listen to the button that whatever action is being taken, and secondly, you the default behavior.
Okay. So you listen almost. So because we have a form, that means that we want to listen form submit. So not actually button, but the form. Because we can have like on click, but we want to have on submit because we will submit form, because everything is happening inside the form. That is why we want to have on submit. If this one will be div, then you are right, and we want to have on click for the button. But as we are writing semantic HTML, because we are good developers, we have form, and then we do submit. And on submit, let's call the function submit form handler, right? That means that I want to create a function const submit form handler, which will receive event, of course, because this is just a regular event. And first thing, what you just said, Mushtaq, that should be event.prevent default. Yeah. So let's actually, yeah, so we are submitting. Remember from the previous lesson, I was talking about two-way binding for inputs. Do you remember what is that? As I said, it is a big thing, and you might be asked that on the interview, because this is a big thing. People, I don't know why, but people like to ask such things. So two-way binding means that you want to have a separate listener on your input. So on change, like input change handler, and you want to have a function for that. And again, you're receiving your event, and const value will be this one, right? Event target value. And let's say console log value. So this is why one-way binding, you have a handler. But two-way binding means that the value should comes from state. So value equals input value, which we don't have, but I'm creating it straight away. So we need to have state for that. Use state. So now I can use it, use state input value, right? and we're starting from empty input. When we render the component, the input will be empty. So one-way binding you're doing by setting the value of your input from the state. So you're binding your input to the state. And another way of binding, so the second way, is that you modifying input by modifying state. So when you listen on change, and you're setting your state for the input. So you have set input state to value. Yeah. This is two ways binding. So the value will be equal to the value from the state, and if you want to change your input, you need to change your state, and this is you're doing with your onChange handler. You've set change in state, and state will change your value, right? Does it make sense? And do you have any questions? Are you dead there? Come on, makes sense. Okay. Thank you. Yes. So, yeah. So let's try, and we will see does it actually work, right? So remember, React DevTools components, and we are in new to do form. State is empty, right? We start typing something, new to do. We updating our state. Yep. Great. This is what we want. Looks like one part of our app is working. So now, okay, so we're updating the local state because this is tightly related, this state is tightly related to the form. But when we submit, we want to add a new to do, right? We want to take the value from our input, so input value, and set it and create a new to do in our list. But you might think that here we don't have our to-do list, and we have our to-do list on this level, right? So we want to get value from this component, pass it to this level, and pass it down to our to-do list, right? So, yeah.
Sorry, could you please repeat that again? I missed the part.
Yeah. So your data for about the new to do is inside this component. Yeah, inside your new to do form.
Yeah.
So when you click submit, this function, this submit form handler, you want to pass that data to your app component and store it here.
Mm-hmm.
So let's create a state, use state, and let's create const, just use state. Let's call it to-dos. And initially we will have 0 to-dos, right? And that should be just an array, empty array. So that means that every time I click submit of this form, that should trigger something here and add new to do to our to-dos. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, so that's awesome. How can we do that? What we can do? Because I know, Mushtaq, you're working on React, so potentially you can help me. Any ideas? How can we get data from this component to this level? Okay. We need to pass a function that we will call from from the form component, and when we will call that function, we will pass an argument, the parameter, to our function with that new value. So I want to pass on change function, and I will set add new to do function, and I need to create it here. Const add new to do, and I will expect new, or just to do, we can call it to do. And what I want to do is set to do's, and what do I want to do? I want to take the array, spread all to do's, and add a new one. Yeah? So now I just need to call this function with the parameter to do's inside, because I'm passing that on change, inside our new to do form. So now on submit, basically I want to call this function with our input value, right? But how can I get it? So I want to call it, but how can I get it now from here? So I'm passing, see that I'm passing it on, on form submit, like this, better name. So on form submit, we pass in a prop to our component. So that means that that will be a part of props, right? So if you want to use it, we will have something like props dot on form submit. Ooh, like this, right? But it is ugly. We don't like to write in that way, so we're just doing this, and we can avoid our props. So I'm destructuring straight away in our component. So let's save and see, are we actually adding to the list? So if you go to app component, see the state is empty. So new to do, hit enter, hit enter. Come on. Oh, yeah. So we actually just added 3 to-dos, right? So what did we miss? We want to reset our state, right? How can we do that? And when do we want to do that? So when I click add, I'm adding to the parent, to the app component, the new to do, and I want to reset the input. How can I do that? How can I reset our input? How? Mushtaq, tell me how. Okay, so when we call the submit, right, so we pass the value of input, and then we just want to call our set input with parentheses, with quotes, with empty quotes. So we just resetting our input value, and because we are resetting new value, that will be empty string, and our input will become an empty string. 2 ways binding, remember. So refresh, let's try again. New to do. See, we have it. One more. Looks okay, right? So you're adding to do's. Okay. Okay. So we might have some problems with identification later, but yeah, let's just leave it for a sec. So looks like our form is working. So we are done with our form, and we are actually adding to-dos. So now, to render our to-do list, we actually want to pass our to-dos, right? So we can use it inside our component, inside our to-dos list. So again, we want to get it from our props, and we want to render them here. How can we render a list of to-dos? So first of all, we want to have our import to-do item, right? From to-do item, right? How can we render the list? We have one thing. We have a bunch of to-dos.
React.
Sorry?
So I guess that we can do React to DOM function. I think the library, is it?
No, nothing special, just regular JavaScript. So this is an array. What do you want to do? You did it, Mushtaq. You did it many times already. Yep, map. Thank you,
Render
Daniel.
function. Oh.
Map. So we have to-dos dot map, and we have our to-do, and we have index because we need to have a key, and that will return to-do item, right? And there we want to pass our to-do. Maybe we can pass text, and that will be our to-do because it's just a string for us. And we want to set, so if I save it, I want to show you that we will have an error. You can see it already. So it says that each child in the list, so every time you use map, should have a unique key. So you want to have a unique key. And for us, our index will be pretty unique, which is not normally the case, but in our case that will work. Refresh, see, no errors. Great. So now we want to go to, let me close our form. We want to go to our item, and we want to receive our text, because as we sent it as a text, we are receiving it here and just rendering our text. Yep. This is a very simple one. We will add buttons, etc. But for now, we have like shopping. Buy a pen. Yeah, I don't know. Watch TV. Yeah, so we are adding things. I'm so excited. Let's actually style it a bit, because looks ugly. So let me just, for my li, I want to set, what do I want to set? Potentially padding, 1em, and for every second, so n's child to n plus 2, I want to set background color, to grayish. So we'll distinct them. Yeah, it's pretty light, should be fine. So see? Beautiful. Right, and if you have a few more, one more, we have a beautiful layout. Great. So we are missing 2 buttons. For each li, we are missing 2 buttons. So I would say that this one should have span, where we have our text, and we will have 2 buttons, which is complete and delete. So I want, again, this is just plain HTML, but I want to keep the structure. So div buttons. And theoretically, yeah, we want to have Do you want to keep? Yeah, probably not. I don't want to keep on the one side. So I want to, you were right, Mushtaq, that we want to have a checkbox. So we want to have an input that should be checkbox, right? No, checkbox. And this one should be a button. Delete. Looks okay. I just want to style it again, but that means that I want to group these two, so I will do some div. I don't know. Content. And I will have this inside. Save. And we have on the row, but now if I style my li, so display flex, justify content, I want to have space between. Try, yeah. And maybe we want to align everything, so align items. Center. Okay, the problem is with that I'm not aligning this one. So we want to go one level deeper, which is content and display flags, align items, center. Yeah, now it's aligned. Beautiful. Yeah, we potentially want to have some spacing. Let's actually add some spacing. So inside this one, we have our input. We want to have margin right 1em. Yeah, looks good to me. We probably need to fix our input and make it nice as well, but let's leave it for a second. So our buttons does nothing. Ooh, ugly. Does anyone know how to change the icon of the cursor to make it like a hand, a tiny white hand? No?
Cursor pointer?
Yeah, exactly. So thank you, and that should be on the button. On the button. Content, button, cursor, pointer. Yeah, and I want to have the same for our input, right? Both. You to do. Any ideas why it doesn't work? Oh, right, because input is, but button is not inside content. Yep, so theoretically I can just do this. Li, to make it shorter. Yeah. Look at us. Beautiful. We can make it even nicer, but test one more. And yeah, we will make it nice. It looks nice. But let's handle complete and delete. So for me, that means that every single item should has at least one extra property so it shouldn't be a string, it should be an object with complete, so it's not just a string, right? It should be I want to create a new to-do. That should be an object where we will have text, and we will have, so that be to do, and we will have complete, because every time I'm creating a new one, complete will be false, right? Because I'm creating a new one, and now I'm just adding new to do. So we'll have an array of objects. But that means that if I save, we definitely will get errors, because if I start test, we have errors because now we're not passing a string, we're passing an object. So we go here, we're passing our to do, so text, actually this one. Now we have two things, right? So that should be to do, and we pass in to do, this is an object, and here we're getting our to do, and this one should be to do, and is it checked? Is it checked? Am I remember it right? To do dot to do dot complete. Is it complete or completed? Yeah, complete. Okay. Yeah. So we are driving them from here. Looks about right now. So test checked prop in the form without on change handler. Oh yeah, see? So React is actually helping you that so you don't do silly mistakes. They're saying that because you're using checked as from the props from actual like React as a dynamic thing, you want to have an on change. So let's listen our React and add on change, right? And we want to have complete on task complete. Yeah, that means that we need to have another property that we will receive from the parent, and that should be from here. So we want to have on task complete, that should be on task complete, and see that I'm taking this on task complete from the very top because I have my tasks here. So I need to pass on task complete, and let's say task complete handler. So you might ask like why I'm naming them differently. You might say like why if it's on task complete, why don't use just on task complete? This is just a convention. So if it is a prop, so you have in the component you creating a handler. So you have handler, but when you pass in as a prop, you're changing that to on something. That is why when I'm declaring, I have task complete handler, but when I'm passing, I have on task complete. Let me just double check the on task complete. Sorry, I need to have on task complete, not tasks. On task, because that will be misleading if I have on tasks complete. And again, we are good developers. We care about such things. New one, right? So we have a new one more, great, looks fine. So now, when I click this one, it does nothing, and see that I can't actually change it. But that means that we want to handle that in some way. So let's think what we actually want to do when we click on change. Any ideas what we want to do with this on change? Please help me. So when I click this one, regards data, what do we want to do? What kind of action? Add the check mark, that's correct, but how do we do that? So in terms of data, you're right, with UI, you are absolutely right, we want to add a tick. But check the components. So our items, they have complete state. And we are saying that checked will be based on complete. So we actually want to change the complete status for this item, right? And that will automatically change the complete tick or not or untick. How can we do that? how can we, so we have the handler here, but how we will know which to do we want to take? Any ideas? This is JavaScript. It's not about, and it's not even JavaScript, it's just logic. Unique key, that's correct. And what can be used as a unique key for us? What can we use it for the unique key as a unique key? Index. That's right. Thank you. So we can take like ID, for example, right? Let's use it as ID and pass our index. So that means that here I can have our ID, and I need to call this function with the ID. So if I do this, what will happen? Just JavaScript, basic knowledge. If we have in our code, if we have this, what will happen? So you run your file with JavaScript and you have such thing in your code. What will happen? Come on, you know that. It will invoke this function straight away. You're calling your function on rendering. On render. So that means that you want to wrap this function into anonymous one, like this. So now you just pass in anonymous function, and when on change, it will invoke. So basically it will do this, right? When you change. But once you're not changing, you will have passed just anonymous function. That will return this one, and that will be invoked with ID. So let's try. So here, we've passed in ID now, which is great. And let's just console log our ID. And we will see, are we right about our idea. So new to do, one more, and more. So console log. If I click on the first one, 0. If I click on the last one, 2. Brilliant. We know which one we want to modify, right? So that means that now it's very easy to find and modify our to-do, right? So we can't change that directly because we can't mutate our state directly. This is prohibited by React, and you will get an error. So if I do something like to-dos, square brackets, ID, we can call it index here actually, index, complete equals true, for example, right? Save and try to click. Let me just. Ooh, it doesn't throw me an error. It should throw an error. What are you saying? Yeah, it should throw an error. I don't know. It was throwing errors before, but see, it's not modifying your DOM. But this is the point that it's not modifying the DOM because it is wrong. And before, I'm pretty sure we got errors because something like the state can't be mutated directly. You need to use basically use state, set state. Maybe just because of React hooks, and in class components it actually throws you an error. So you can't do this. You need, again, you're a good developer. You're avoiding direct mutation. So you're just doing const local to-dos. And you're just cloning your to-dos from state to-dos, right? So now you can work with your to-dos like this, and we don't want to have just true, because every time you double click or you click on the second time, you still set true. So we want to set to opposite, right? So what you want to do is just this. So you take the old one and replacing. And now, when we're done with this, we want to set to-dos with local to-dos. Does it make sense? Yeah? No? Any comments? Questions? Questions? Happy to answer, clarify, explain. So a little bit is enough, I believe. Okay, so let's try to see the result. So, hello, shopping, to do. So click, and if you go to the tab, open our state, we have 3 false. If I check, true, right? True, false. So you're modifying your state. Right? So basically the whole application is driven by data, by state. You're not hard coding something. You literally modifying data, and that data driving your view and the UI. Okay, so looks like completed is working. Theoretically, what we can do is just a CSS. I'm obsessed with CSS. So if this one, I just want to style it a bit more. If this one checked, right, plus span, I want to text decoration, come on, text decoration, what is lines through, right, lines through. Right, so we will cross our span. Let's see. Yeah, look at us, beautiful, right? Amazing. And to make it even nicer, we can grade out the whole thing. Potentially, that will be hard to grade out the whole thing. We need to do it in a different way. But what we can do for our span, where do we have span? Content, we have input, and we're supposed to have span. And this one should be display block, and that should be flex grow 1. Save. Let me just check this one. Doesn't look like, oh no, flex grow, yeah. Oh, the whole thing is small. Yeah, so what we want to do is for content, we want to have flex grow as well. Okay. All right, so it's just crossing the text. Okay, we just waste our resources for this one. So lines through just going through the text. It doesn't go further. Yeah, easy. I mean, we can do something like with play, with after, etc., but we don't want to waste the cat. So now it is working, right? So we can actually cross and finish the thing. Okay, so what about delete? We want, again, same approach. We want to modify our state. We want to remove the thing from the state, and that will modify our to-dos in state, and that will re-render our list with a new list, right? So how can we do that? So we have a delete button. What do we want to do? Tell me. Come on. We've done on change. This is pretty much the same. I truly believe you can handle that. Don't be shy. Please. No? So we have on change and we have delete button. So you potentially want to listen this delete button. What do you want to listen? What kind of event we want to listen? Yeah, come on, Daniel. Come on, hashtag. This is simple thing. I just did it. Pretty much the same thing. So we have delete button and we want to listen on click, right? And we want to have something on task delete. And again, to know the position, we want to have ID. So basically we have anonymous function where we will pass our ID, right? And that means that I want to have another prop to receive. Okay, see how kind everyone is. Hey Jay, do you want to help me?
I'm not quite sure.
Are you actually working on React now or no?
Yes, I am. Yes. Like until now, most of it, like at least understood.
Okay. Yeah. So then we want to have an event listener. That means that we want to have this prop, and again, that should come from the parent, right?
Yep.
So we want to have it here, and we want to receive it again from the parent, and finally we want to pass it here. And that should be the name task delete handler.
Right.
Yeah, and that means that we want, again, as I said, this is pretty much the same function. So we just have, why I'm saying that, because we want to clone our to-dos. Then how we can remove something from the array?
Remove method.
What?
Filter.
No. We want to remove by index. Splice. Thank you, Daniel. See, you need to be more vocal, Daniel. Okay, yeah, so what do we want to have? So splice. And we have the starting point, which is our index, and we're saying one thing. And then we are setting them to be, yeah. Okay, so new to do. One more and more can't. So if I can complete and I can delete it. Look at us. See how smart we are? How easy we can handle such things? Yeah, so now we're deleting. The only the other thing that we completely forgot is the ordering, right? So if I put 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5, it goes in a different or in a wrong order. How to solve it? Tell me. I know you know. Sort is good one, but we don't have, basically it's hard to sort if you have it's not about sorting actually, because it's not about, you're not comparing something. It just, you want to reverse your array. Let's see how to reverse array JavaScript. Simple enough, right? So when we passing our to-dos to render, we don't want to pass to-dos, we want to pass dot reverse like this. So let's try again. Refresh. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, what's going on? 6. What's going on? 1, 2. What the heck? I think I know what's happening. I think that our state updating later than we want. 1, 2. No, 3. What the heck? Let me check. Maybe I'm just missing something. To-dos dot. Not to-dos. We want to have an array with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's reverse. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Am I silly? Okay, let me just const to-dos to render, and we will pass to-dos to render. That's really odd. Let me try again. 1, 2. What the heck? Console log. So log to-dos to render. Right, I know what's happening. Shit. Is it because it's modifying the original one? Yeah, it is modifying the original one. So basically every time we add a new to-do, we're reversing. That is why. And it is modifying directly the reverse, modifying original array. It's not returning a new one, it's modifying the original one. So let's check the actual documentation. Reverse JS MDN. See, this is a tiny trap. Method reverse an array in place. The first array element becomes a last, and the last element becomes a yeah. So that So see that it's actually careful. Reverse is destructive. So it's actually changing the original one. So what do we want to do? Again, spread, right? And we always have the correct original one and the correct for rendering. So let's try. 1, 2, yeah, beautiful. Yes. Silly name, silly for what name is silly, sorry?
I was thinking if let's say the first and it's 1, 2, then it's a 4, then it's a 6. So how do we sort them in like ascending order?
Yeah,
right?
but because it's numbers. But if you have like new task, one more, so there is nothing that you can sort, right?
No. Let's say if we go number wise, yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a 1, 2, and then we have a 4, then we have a 6, 5. So I was saying reverse wouldn't work, accordingly. So we need a sort. That's what I was thinking when I said sort. So with that, the sort will still be good to use in my case.
Yeah, but our goal is just to, if you...
Just to reverse, yeah.
Yeah, the last comes first.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah, okay. I really don't like this input. We probably want to let's style it quickly. So UL, how do we call it? We definitely want to, we have form, right? We have form, so we can style it quickly. Form, and that should has padding 1M as well. Already better. So display flex, and here I want to have, I'm just input, so flex and grow 1, and that should be border none. Then border bottom 1 pixel solid, I don't know, maybe some DDD, some shade of gray like this. Yeah, maybe we want to have some margin left, margin right, sorry, 1M, nicer. And on active we just want to make it nicer. Focus, yeah, so focus active, and that should be just a different color. So let's say some kind of blue. So now if I click, ooh, we have outline. We forgot about outline. Yep, outline none, like this. Yep. New task. Looks good for me. The only thing that we need to style is buttons, but we will fix it in a second. Yeah, so we have, I think that, let's check our requirements. So we are able to create new to do, we're able to complete to do, we are able to delete to do, and latest to do should come first. Looks like we've done all requirements. Yeah, let me just fix buttons then. That should be some generic class. So button, let's say button, yeah. So the size of the button will be the same. So width, you know, no, that should be padding, 0.5 M and 0.5, just stylings, 5 M and I don't know, 2 M's, and background, and background color we will set later. Color, we definitely can use color to white. It's hard to read for now. Border, we don't want to have border. Border, none. Something like that. And we want to have border radius. Border radius to 4 pixels. Yeah, we have beautiful buttons. The only problem is that we want to style them differently. So button with class, let's say danger, will have background color. Background color should be some kind of red, but let's make it pleasant for eyes. So we want to add this danger class, right? For to do item, we have button called class. How to add class in React?
Class name.
Yes, class name. Thank you. And we will put our danger in there. Yeah. So the only tiny thing that I want to change in CSS for this one is that for hover we want to have filter and brightness should be 0.9, and that should be gradual. So transition, transition. Is it transition? Oh my gosh, translate. Yeah, transition 0.2. Yeah, looks good. And for the main one, we will use the same color that we use here. So for button See how styling is easy? Not success, main. Color.
It's definitely easier than React.
Yeah. And come on, background color like this, and we just want to add to our form button class main should be main. Yep. And shopping spellings crazy. Yeah, but this is the point, right? So we have a nice to-do app that we are creating. Theoretically, we can just remove from stylings because I don't like the jumping effect. So if you have stylings like new one, see the whole, when I hit enter, the whole one will jump. But this is because of the wrong stylings here. So align items. We probably just want to have for the app margin, 2M, maybe 5M. Something like that. Yeah, so now it's static. One more. Should we? Ooh. What's going on? Why? Why is happening? Do you know why it's happening? See that when I'm selecting the first one, it's unticking the last one. If I select this one, it's ticking this one. Why is happening? Yes, the reverse. That's correct. So let's fix it. See, buggy code. That is why we need to write tests, right? So how can we fix it? Let's think about that. So you're reversing and to-dos. So we take the original. When we're reversing, we don't have the original index, right? But we definitely know that this is opposite. So we want to do some crazy mess with this index. So let's think about how we can resolve it. So because we're basically having that here, how can we get the right one? Any ideas? Position. So we want to have some position, and we will pass our position. But how do we want to get it? So imagine that we have 3 items in a list, right? We have 3 items in the list. We take, and we have the first one is actually the last one, right? So when we have, let's think just mass. It's always tricky. Mass is tricky. So let me think. So imagine the lengths. Just want to have lengths 5. Index 3. But this actually index not 3. Because it's opposite, so this is the 4th one from the end, right? So let me just create 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the third index will be 0, 1, 2, 3. So the actual index is 2, right? So the difference, is it always the difference? Theoretically, expect 2. Let's do crazy math. Okay, so expect 2. If we, let's say, have index, I don't know, 1. So the difference is 4. right? So if you have 1, the difference will be 4. So is it? So 1 is 5, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so difference. The position should be difference between lengths and index, right? So you want to take the to-dos dot lengths minus index. Yeah, I hope so. I'm not the best mathematician in this world, so let's say test 1, test 2, test 3. Okay, 1 more. Once again. Okay, so if I select this one, shit. Beautiful. Yeah, so if I selected the first one, oh right, it's -1, right? Because the index will be fifths. For example, index is 4 and the length is fifths. Is it -1? Can anyone help me with this crazy mess?
Let's try all options.
Oh yeah, look at this. Yeah, brilliant. So -1. Great. It's always tricky. Sometimes you can sit and play with numbers and try to understand what's going on inside. Yeah, so that should be it. Length -1 minus index. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it won't have like this. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So now it is working. Are we happy with this one? So what time is it now? Yeah, so we still have time for our bonus. We want to move the position up and down, right? You want to take the element and move its position. Oh. Okay.
Move like drag the element.
Not drag. Don't go crazy. Just 2 buttons up and down. Yeah, and if it's the first one, we don't want to have to move it to the. If it's the first one, we don't want to be. We want to disable button go up. And if it's the last one, we want to disable button go down. So another thing that means that we want to add 2 more buttons. Where do we want to do that? So not new form, here. 1 more and 1 more. And it's not submit, just button, regular button. How to put head? We have this symbol, but we don't have. Let's call it up and down. Woo! We definitely need to make sure that this one. Wait a second. I need to inspect. We don't have flex grow for this one for content. We need to fix this. So flag content. Where do we have content? Flex row. Yeah, beautiful. We just want to add some margin for buttons. Some tiny margin. Margin 0.
Wouldn't that be nicer? Like on the tick we can change this position up and down with just 2 buttons fixed on top of the page.
What do you mean?
Like rather we have a list of up and down buttons.
Yeah.
We just have 2 buttons up and down, and on ticking the element.
Oh, you want to, but yeah, but our,
position.
I got you, but the problem will be that we use tick for complete, not for,
So we can't.
yeah, not for selecting.
Can we do that? I mean, can we like
I mean,
do
we,
2
yeah, theoretically you can select. What about if you select multiple? Do you want to move them, all of them?
No, just one, whichever is being ticked.
Yeah, but so I mean, as I said, remember that to do app is something that you can go crazy, and
Yeah.
people selling to do apps, and they have dedicated teams which working years and years to make it sophisticated. So yes. But we're focused on the basic one. Just to practice some React.
Lovely node.
Yeah, okay. So we have up and down. So again, we want to have someone click. Basically want to do this, right? And this should be on move up. And on move down. On move down. Yeah. Yeah, now we want to have this on move up and on move down. We want to have these 2 functions, and we want to pass them here. Move up, on move down. Quite a few props, I would say. And yeah, same here. On move up should be move up handler, and move down handler. Let's create these 2 functions. So here we have index, and same for down, right? Okay, so we have 2 functions. I'm just thinking, because we want to disable these buttons, right? Let me just go to CSS quickly and style, so we will see that it is actually disabled. Disabled background color. Why is that auto complete? Background color. I don't know. Maybe something darker. Yeah, maybe something like that. Okay, so if we save it, how do you want to know is disabled or not? So disabled, and that should be something that we want to know, is it the last one or not the last one, right? So if the index is, yeah, so we basically want to pass to-dos length, list length. Does it make sense? We want to pass this one. And theoretically, we want to have to-dos there because we want to pick, do we have the next one and do we have the previous one? This is what I'm saying, it becomes crazy. We can actually do it. I have is previous, is next, is next, is next. Let's pass these two props. And is previous means that we want to take to-dos, lengths, not like this. You have to-dos, lengths. So previous, not to-dos lengths, but the index. Yeah, why not? So just index, not position. Or we want to have index. Oh my gosh, reverse just destroying me. Yeah, I think that should be index. So if to-dos index -1 is valid, if it exists, then good, and the same here, +1, right? So is previous, is next. Let's pass these two. Is previous, is next. Here we have down, is next, is previous. Next. Ooh, look at this. Why? Any ideas? Oh, wait a sec. We don't have, or do we? Okay. Let me check this. So, look, we want to render these two, right? To see is it actually working. Refresh, go to console. Undefined. Right. What does it mean? Disabled, I know why it doesn't work. So disabled is looking for true or false. So what we can do, we can wrap it into Boolean, right? Or we can do exclamation mark. But let's use Boolean. Try again. Come on. False and false. Right, that should be opposite, right? Because if disabled is the negative meaning. So we want to have, basically, because it should be negative, the opposite, we can use just one exclamation mark. It's always tricky thing. Refresh. Come on. Yeah, true and true. So why you're not applying test stylings? Oh yeah, look at it. We just override it because of main, because of cascading. Awful. We want to remove cascading style sheets. Who designed that? Yeah. So we want to have danger main. We want to have it here. Yeah, right. And that should be unclickable. So we want to have cursor events, pointer events none, and cursor. Do you remember what is not allowed? Is it not? Yeah, it's not allowed. Refresh. Test. No, it's not, definitely not allowed. Cursors CSS. Okay, no drop. Is it not drop? But not allowed is the same, right? So why does it work for us? Because cursor is pointer. Oh my gosh, again, higher priorities. Because we have app ally. Yeah, oh my gosh. This is annoying. Okay, so they have, because the selector is too specific for it. Class to allies input. Class to allies, basically it's reselect. So we have 13. Specificity is 13 because 10, 1, 2, 3, so 13. And here we have just 11 because we have 1 and even less button dot disabled. So let me just add dot main. Will that help? Still no, because we have still less. Okay, so should it be ally? Yeah, right. Wait a second. We can be sneaky and use app. It's awful CSS, but come on. You got to be kidding. Sorry. Let's. Yeah, not allowed. No, that should be fine. We override it. Why it still doesn't work? It won't work. Let me just move. Use some other. What's going on? Any ideas why it doesn't work? For some reason, I think that pointer events. See that I can't select a button. I think this is a problem. That I'm not actually clicking on the button. But why it's happening? Yeah, so see that when I'm selecting, this is actually a good thing for debugging, because when you're selecting, you see that you're not actually hovering on the button. That is why it's not it doesn't work basically. Okay, but does it mean? Oh, wait a second. Is it because of no events? It's potentially because of no events. Let me check. So that potentially might be the answer. Yeah, okay, but I'm still able to click. But to disable that, we need to do that on this side by having, if it's not next, then we want to have this, right? And the same, we want to have this click handler is previous, is not previous. Text. Yeah, so you're not triggering anything. Good. Okay, so if I add another one, yeah, see? Beautiful. And you can click on this one. Awesome. So let me check with move up. How do we want to move up? Any ideas? Any ideas? So again, same thing. We want to have our local to-dos because we want to work with them. Then we want to do what? Const item. We want to have like const item to move, let's say. And we want to have local to-dos dot what? Local to-dos dot splice again, right? And we want to have this index and 1. So we're removing and storing into the variable. And the next bit is local to-dos dot splice. What do we want to do is index -1 because we want to shift 1 up, right? 0 to remove, and then item that we want to add. And now we want to set our to-dos. Splice is crazy. You can do so many things. Let's try. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but let's try. So I have 5 and I want to move up. Definitely wrong. Component is changing the controlled input to be uncontrolled. What? Changing from the defined. Why the value is changing? Any ideas? Let me check. Does splice return anything? Let me check. Maybe I'm just wrong with splice. 1, 2, 3. Splice. And I don't know. 2, 1. It returns an array, right? It's not returning an item, just an array. Okay. So the nicer way is to do this, basically local to-dos, square brackets, index, right? So you're assigning to a variable, yeah. You can actually use not local to-dos, just to-dos, because you're just getting this one. Do you want to modify? Maybe not. So if you have to-dos, you take the one to-do from there, then you're removing one to-do. You want to remove, so you want to have splice index 1. That should be fine. Let's try. It's actually moving. Ooh, look at this. It's moving up and down. Oh, it's actually moving down. Why is that? Reverse. So we actually want to move into the opposite direction, right? As I said, reverse is killing me. Too many opposite things. So if I want to move up, I actually want to move down, not up, right? So up, 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 and I can't move up, right? Up. Yeah, look at this. So we actually can move up now. How we can move down? You might guess. Just copy paste this function and use it to move down. Oh, we already have it here. And here we want to have minus. Yeah. So the only difference is the plus and minus. So let's move up, up, up. Now move down, 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 down. Beautiful. We can move them. The only thing that it's ugly because we're repeating everything besides this plus, which is ridiculous to repeat ourselves so many times, right? So let's actually do const move handler, and that should take two arguments. That should take index and direction. And we can put something like if direction equals up, do this. Else if direction equals down, do something else, right? So basically we want to, this is common. The first three lines is common for both, right? So for down we want to do, for down we want to do this. And for up, we want to do that. And we still want to do set for both. Set to do's for both. So now we're not repeating ourselves, but we need to pass extra argument, right? Move handler. We can just use move handler. We don't need to have the second one. Now we have move handler. Oh, sorry, on move probably. Yeah, on move. So here we have on move. Then we have on move there. We have on move here. One less prop, which is good. And we have here. We have on move. And now we can use our on move, but the second argument is previous, right? Is it up? Up, yeah, up. And for this one, we're passing down. Still should work, I hope. Test. Yeah, so let's take, let's delete duplicates. Yeah, okay. So up, 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 up works. Down, 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 down works. Yeah. So it's simplified. We just removed one extra function just to make it linear. Yeah. So as you can see, in 2 hours, you can build pretty nice to-do with that great functionality. You can make it nicer, definitely. You can do some arrows or something. But yeah. Questions? Anyone? Do you want me to share the code? The transition for some reason doesn't work. Oh yeah, I don't know. Okay, so you don't need. What does it mean? I'm good at the moment means for questions, and do you want to share the code means yes, right? Okay, perfect. Got you. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll just double check that is everything working. We can complete, we can delete. Yes, beautiful. And that still, I just want to double check that my transition is working. And hit enter. Does it? Oh, this is on button. Sorry. And we have on input, we want to have the same. Yeah. Beautiful. Good. Okay. Yeah. Then I'll share this. I'll create a repo and share it with you. And yes, I think that was great. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask. And yeah, so next week you will be with Sam and you will have more fun because you will talk about, let me just double check what you will talk about. You will talk about crazy stuff. React hooks, the latest thing, and React routers. So you'll learn how to actually fake URLs and go between pages and have different URLs so you can actually share links with your friends. For example, if you have a big application, you have different pages, you can send a specific link and that will go to that page. It will not reset to the default main page. So you can jump between pages and have the proper URL. So this is for the next week. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And